Hello everybody, my name's Justin Thomas. Welcome back, and if this is your first time here, make sure to like and subscribe. I do regular series reviews, not only of Victoria, but Game of Thrones, Westworld, The Walking Dead, Vikings, and much more. This will be my Victoria Season 2, Episode 2, The Green-Eyed Monster review. So before we jump into it, I want to mention that I'll be giving a rating for each episode from this point on, which will be a basic 1 to 10 scale, in which 10 is the best and 1 is obviously the worst. I would say that anything I give less than a 6 to should be interpreted as I don't think the episode was on par with the quality I've come to expect or look forward to the particular show being reviewed. Anything below a 5 is I don't think that this particular episode was even worth a watch. Anything less than a 3 should be interpreted as this episode has taken a drastic drop in quality and entertainment value, and will definitely need to redeem itself in the next episode. Of course, this is only my opinion, and my reviews will be filled with my likes and dislikes of the content. In the case of Victoria, I will also inject the real-life history behind the events and characters of the show. So let's jump right into it. Victoria Season 2, Episode 2, titled The Green-Eyed Monster. So let's talk about the title, The Green-Eyed Monster. The phrase was used by, and possibly coined by Shakespeare, to denote jealousy in The Merchant of Venice, which jealousy is definitely the main theme of this episode, as well as the play that we see being performed in this episode, Othello, which is another one of Shakespeare's works that the Green Monster is referenced heavily in, and jealousy is one of the main themes of. The Duchess, that's played by Dame Diana Rigg, references Othello, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she says something to the effect of, aristocrats and Shakespeare just don't mix. Now, I could be reading too much into this. I am a sucker for literary references, but I took that somewhat to the effect of the behavior of both Albert and Victoria are unbecoming of royalty, in a sense. So as for the title, The Green-Eyed Monster, and what it is a metaphor for, this episode does revolve almost solely around Victoria and Albert being at odds. And this is mostly because of jealousy. And Victoria in particular shows a great amount of jealousy with Albert's relationship with Ada Lovelace, or what I would refer to as just interactions with the mathematician and writer, who we'll speak more of in a minute. But there's also a bit of jealousy on Albert's side as well. I just think that he is better at putting up a front, and to say not wearing his heart on his sleeve. And the source of his jealousy is clearly the presence of the fan favorite, Lord M, which, don't worry, we will address. So we do see almost a little bit of what could be considered childish games between Victoria and Albert. Victoria is trying to almost show Albert her dominance, and Albert is trying to establish his independence. In testing the boundaries of Victoria, and in my opinion, trying to see where the line really lays between being a husband or subject. We see this when he repeatedly refuses the request of his presence back at court when he's attending the Mathematical Society. He specifically asks if that's an order or a request. I found all this to be on par with what I know of their relationship. They tended to fight like cats and dogs and then make up rather quickly, and a lot of times it said they would make love immediately after. And we see that lovemaking, although we didn't see it in this episode, is evidently frequent, just as it was in real life. As we find out, Victoria is yet pregnant again. And this is so true about Victoria. She loved the act of making love, but was not so thrilled with the pregnancy and the children that came along with the act. This was especially difficult for a woman at this time since there was a lack of proper contraception methods and the idea itself was not socially acceptable. So I enjoyed the showcasing of the young couple's trials and tribulations. They might come off as the acts of teenagers, but that's quite okay. Victoria might have been queen, but queen or not, her and Albert were barely 21 years old at this time. You have to remember they met when they were 17. She had her first child right before she was 21, and now she's already pregnant with her second. So let's talk about Ada Lovelace, who we meet in this episode. And you could say that she is the source of Victoria's worries. In real life, she was much more than this. She was chiefly known for her work on Charles Babbage's proposed mechanical general-purpose computer, in which we saw in the episode. But she was the first to recognize that the machine had applications beyond pure calculation and created the first algorithm intended to be carried out by such a machine. As a result, she is often regarded as the first to recognize the full potential of computing machines. And a lot of people actually consider her to be the first computer programmer. She's a pretty amazing woman. I'll leave some links for her in the description for anybody looking to learn any more about her. I don't know if she's going to be in the series as a regular. I do know in real life that she unfortunately has an early death at 36, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now for everybody's favorite ex-prime minister, Lord M. I'm a big fan of the character and the actor who plays him, Rufus Sewell. I was perfectly pleased with the interaction between he and Victoria. He did serve as a source of jealousy to Albert, whether Albert showed it or not, in my opinion, but he is much more than that, and I don't mean love interest to Victoria, which he was not only in the show, but in real life. But that story, in my opinion, was for season 1, and it was very well done. As soon as I started taking a liking to Albert, who I did not enjoy at all at first, the hopeful existence of a physical romance between the Queen and Lord Melbourne was dashed, but in such a way that made me respect and love them as characters even more. The relationship between these highly influential, public, and powerful leaders is something very special, and yes, it's not appropriate at any level to most people of the time, but the presence of Lord M is crucial to the Queen. I do believe it's crucial to Lord M as well. He loves her and she does love him, but since the consequences of taking that love to the next level would destroy both of them, they have shown true character by, to a point, sacrificing their own needs and desires, and instead they've chosen to be what the country needs them to be and not what they want to be. And because of this, they are able to help one another, and it helps the people as well. As for his sickness and not disclosing it to Victoria, that was on par with what I was just explaining. He's being selfless and has the bigger picture in mind. As for his death, I don't see him going anywhere too soon, since currently in the show it's 1841. The real life Lord Melbourne doesn't die until 1848 after a stroke. So this all depends on if they do a possible time jump, or since it is a historical drama, not just a documentary, it could change, obviously. But if there's a time jump, it could be hastened, but I don't see a time jump until after season 2. That's just my opinion. I think that we're safe with Lord M for this season. So all in all, I liked the episode. I didn't enjoy it as much as episode 1, but in a series such as Victoria, you are bound to have episodes that seem to drag, especially to those that are expecting a more fast pace. That's just not what Victoria is. The narrative is more of a slow burn, and I feel that's appropriate for a show like this. I did have an issue with the subplot that revolved around the trespassing boy. I don't know if they were trying to maybe have some foreshadowing for the financial issues that are going to be arising in the country, and even worse in Ireland at this time. And I'm sure things like this happened to a point, but this was overly cartoonish for my liking, especially the scene with him hiding under the table in the main hall during the hosting of the event. That was a little silly, and I would have liked to see one of the many other enticing subplots explored, but it's definitely forgivable. So all in all, I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. I'm looking forward to next week's episode, and if you guys have not subscribed, please subscribe, make sure to like this video, make sure to leave comments below, and I will see you guys soon.